I've been using Premiere Pro for years, but recently decided to try out DaVinci Resolve. And after using Resolve for a little over a month, I'm switching, and here's why. The fact that Resolve is free is a big reason to switch. I could just end the video right here. But seriously, it's a huge reason I decided to try out Resolve. I've never been a big fan of subscription-based pricing models, which it seems like every company is doing these days. So being able to cut off one of these monthly subscriptions was an attractive reason to switch. I'm still paying for the Adobe photography plan to keep access to Photoshop and Lightroom, but I was able to drastically reduce the monthly fee by cutting out Premiere Pro. There is a paid version of Resolve called Resolve Studio, which is a one-time cost of $295. And with it, you do get access to some cool additional features. I'm still using the free version because I haven't run into a situation yet where I needed these additional features, and I think most people are gonna be just fine with the free version. The second reason I wanted to try out DaVinci Resolve was due to the reputation it had for being an amazing color grading platform. For years, Resolve has been used primarily as a color grading tool, and so it was no surprise that the program did live up to the hype. I am by no means an expert colorist, but even for the color grading I personally do, I found Resolve to just make more sense in terms of how the whole process is laid out. Using Premiere, you get used to just adding a Lumetri color effect over your clips, or maybe you add an adjustment layer over several clips and do your color grading that way. In the end, it always felt to me like color grading was clunky, awkward, and a bit of an afterthought in Premiere. Moving over to Resolve took some time to get used to for sure. You replace the effects and adjustment layers with these weird things called nodes, which sounds complicated, but after a short amount of time color grading in Resolve, you get a feel for yourself how structuring grading this way is more natural and just makes more sense. Color grading is split up into a separate tab entirely in Resolve. So when you're grading, you get the feeling you're in a separate program entirely that was made specifically for color grading, and it just feels a lot better. Like I said, there is a bit of a learning curve to color grading in Resolve, and I'm still learning it myself, but it doesn't take long to pick up the basics, and then you can dive deeper from there. Just a small example of something that immediately impressed me with Resolve was the ability to add color space transforms to your clips without having to import any LUTs. In Premiere, if I wanted to convert my S-Log3 footage to Rec. 709, I had to download the LUT from the Sony website, import it into Premiere, or store it as a technical LUT and apply that LUT to my clips. In Resolve, you can simply add a color space transform effect, select the settings you shot your clip in, whether that be Sony S-Log or Canon C-Log, select your output color space, and you're good to go. No need to go to any website to find the transform, as they're all built right into Resolve. Another reason Resolve is a better editor than Premiere is the fact that it's an all-in-one platform. In Premiere, if you want to edit your audio in a fully featured editor, you can do it, but you had to do it in Adobe Audition. If you need to add complex animations or graphics, you do it in After Effects. Now, while you can export to these programs and then back into Premiere, you're still leaving the program and then coming back in, which, just like color grading in Premiere, feels clunky and is not ideal. In Resolve, you have Fairlight built right in, which is their version of Audition. You have Fusion, which is Resolve's version of After Effects. All of these are within the same program, just in separate tabs. So you can open up a Resolve project and do the entire thing in there from start to finish without needing to roundabout to any other software programs, which is just a much cleaner and just a better way to do things. This one may be a point of contention with some, but for me, I'm a huge fan of the simplicity and the rigid layout structure of Resolve. You have your timeline at the bottom, your viewer above, media on the left, and aside from being able to turn off and on certain windows or sections, the layout is fixed this way. Compare this to Premiere, where every single window can be moved pretty much anywhere within the program, and you can have different views depending on what you're doing. I don't like this. I feel like this is chaotic, and I much prefer the tab layout of Resolve with separate portions of the program entirely for each function, and within each of these tabs, having more or less a fixed layout. In Premiere, I was constantly accidentally moving windows around, having to reset to save layout, and the whole thing was just messy. There are a couple really cool features in DaVinci Resolve that take it above and beyond Premiere Pro. The first one that comes to mind is motion tracking. So let's say I want to brighten up just this section of the footage. What I can do is go into the color grading tab and using a window, draw a box over top of that portion of the image. And now I'll brighten it up like this. The problem with this is that this isn't static, and as the video plays forward, the window isn't going to stay over top of the selection like this. No problem. Let's go back to where it was lined up correctly, and now I'm gonna press Control T or Command T, which will track the motion of the clip and move the window with the object to keep it there. This was mind-blowing to me because in Premiere, you have to manually keyframe it and track the motion and move the points around, and it's just a nightmare. Having the ability to do something like this easily is just an example of one of the features that make Resolve so powerful. Okay, so while this whole video is just kind of ripping on Premiere Pro, I just want to say that my experience with Premiere Pro, for the most part, has been positive. And so I don't want to make it seem like the reason I made the switch is because Premiere is terrible and Resolve is amazing. No, but the reasons I laid out in this video were reasons enough for me to stay in Resolve after trying it out. So if you're considering making a switch, definitely give it a try. I mean, it's free. What do you really have to lose? And then come back here for more Resolve tutorials once you've switched. All right guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you found it useful. If you did and you want to keep seeing content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my future videos. And I'll see you in the next video.